interesting things I liked about the character in the first year, and I like about the character in general, is that although he seems to be kind of a profligate person and on paper a promiscuous person, sexually, drugs, emotionally, every way, he's actually been pining for this monogamous relationship. He's been pining for this woman. And so I never saw it as a difficulty for Hank, because in the backstory of Hank and Karen, Hank was never, he didn't fool around on her when they were together. I think that's pretty much the backstory, is that he kind of got his head turned a little bit with his first taste of success as a novelist, and I think he's very afraid to go back and write again, after a huge first success. I mean, if you look at the careers of many novelists that had a first novel that does very well, it's very difficult for them to have a second act, as Fitzgerald would say, or to go back and have a career that people can really look at with an objective eye, rather than through the lens of their initial splash. So I think he's paralyzed by that, and also the fact that this novel that he wrote was turned into a lousy movie that everybody seems to love. It's just, his life has somehow turned into some kind of absurd, Hollywood dream. There was a few, and Tom was really brilliant in writing, scenes where it was really the essence of the character over and over again. But I think one of my favorites was in the last episode, where I get into a fight with a woman's husband over the last box of tampons, because my daughter has just gotten her period for the first time, and I actually get into a fist fight with a guy trying to steal tampons from his wife. And I just thought that's perfect Hank Moody, because it's kind of gross and weirdly sexual, and yet he's taking care of his family, and he's taking care of his daughter, and he's actually doing the right thing the wrong way, which is what Hank does. No, because she's deceitful. Hank, for all his poor qualities, is not deceitful. He tells it like it is, and she doesn't. But she's very bright, and the way Madeline plays her, it's very interesting. She's very childlike and likable, and yet completely devious, and you kind of know that that her behavior is being driven by some problems, and you want to reach out and kind of help that. And I think Hank has a little of that too. Obviously they've got a history that makes everything complicated, but I think he feels paternal toward her more than anything. Well, they're old buddies, and they kind of complete one another. Hank needs Charlie. I don't know if he needs Hank quite as much. Charlie has more in his life that fills him up. I think he's got a nice relationship with Pam. And they've it's not just nice. It's fraught with problems and is of great interest to both of them. And I think Charlie has no aspirations to be an artist the way Hank is, and is good at his job and likes it. So, Charlie is he's fairly content, more content than Hank. But he loves Hank because they've come up together, and Hank just needs Charlie to kind of goad him into writing, it's really his only link to any kind of productive life.